blame yourself if I don't love you, okay? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Please hit the subscribe button and give this episode a thumbs up. The Sister Wives star is a man of many skills, but Kody Brown is not one to meddle with the law. In the past, he has been known to remain clear of any legal difficulties. Fans may recall he went as far as to depart Utah in the middle of the night when he worried he'd be arrested for practicing polygamy. So what precisely transpired to put Kody on a wanted sign? Was Kody Brown arrested? Kody Brown was never arrested, despite bogus stories circulating on Facebook indicating that he was. In December, E! News said that Kody had a brush with the authorities when he was almost detained. However, a clip has been circulating in which Robyn Brown opens up about her husband's run-in. 2010, the entire Brown family was terrified that Kody could face jail time for practicing his religion. The fourth and favorite wife remarked, "The state of Utah was threatening prosecution because of our beliefs, because we were a plural family." Robyn added, "We basically moved because we were trying to be family without being torn apart or thrown in jail." However, in 2016, Fox 13 discovered that the Lehigh Police Department had never launched an investigation into Kody. The entire family battled with being honest about polygamy. Robyn recalled that her friend would look at me like I'm wrong or I'm a sinner because I was a part of a plural family at the time. Utah's federal solicitor, Parker Douglas, noted, "The practice of the Utah Attorney General's office is not to prosecute polygamists living in Utah under Utah's criminal bigamy statute, merely because of their polygamous practice." So it seems Kody was never in any real danger, and Sister Wives fans know that Kody would not have done well behind bars. Kody Brown says PDA with Robyn sparked tension with former wives. "They effed with us bad." Kody Brown is opening up about a terrible episode from his plural marriage past, one that he says led to huge rupture within his family. In the new Sister Wife one-on-one special, Kody Brown, 55, sat down with host Sakana Krishnan and pondered on the tricky dynamic of exhibiting affection in front of his past wife. The debate was prompted by Christine Brown Woolley, who said that physical contact in front of the other wives was formerly an unspoken rule. "The last time Robyn and I showed PDA with the family, we got kicked out," Kody shared. Surprised, Krishnan questioned, "You got kicked out?" Kody hesitated before saying, "I'm not going there. Yeah, they effed with us bad, and wow, it cost me dearly." Kody refuses to share details. It's a story that cannot be told. When asked for more information, Kody shut down the line of questioning. "It's a story that just cannot be told," he remarked. "Yeah, it's just when there's something that fundamentally destructive to your life, you're just not going to talk about it." Christian questioned if the incident had been recent, but Kody avoided specifics. "Let's just not talk about it," he said. She followed up by asking if it had been that traumatizing. Kody reacted with a surprising comment. "Until Mary and Janelle are remarried, I will not show PDA to Robyn in front of them." Clarifying further, he stated, No, it's where we are safe, we behave candidly, and when we are not, we have learned to be watchful, because when pure love is exposed, it summons down vengeance. And it's like the world hates true love so much that they want to be really very horrible about it." Kody said, "So it's been a painful experience falling in love, not from the person I fell in love with, but from the world outside of it." Robyn Brown opens up about their different PDA levels. During her own interview, Robyn Brown noted that her and her spouse aren't always unified when it comes to public affection. "What I think is affection, he thinks is subtle." Robyn remarked, "It's just a difference between his level and my level. And I mean, I think kissing is fine in front of people. I'm a little apprehensive about like a complete makeout session. That's all. Where you're seeing spit and tongue swapping." Mary Brown responds, "Don't throw it in my face." While Mary Brown wasn't asked explicitly about Kody's charges, she shared her own take on PDA. "I think there's a limit. I don't have a problem with PDA. I think that I want to have somebody that is okay with that," she said. Mary said she's all right with hand-holding, embracing, and a kiss here and there, but added, When it gets to the point that somebody says, "get a room," that's probably a little bit too much. When asked if she ever felt uncomfortable seeing Kody express affection to his past wives, Mary didn't hold back. "It was always uncomfortable and awkward. It still is," she admitted. "Now when I see it with him and Robyn, it's like, because I feel like now it's almost like I'm throwing it in your face. And I don't like that. Don't toss it in my face. Just be you. Love her the best that you can, but don't be a jerk to me about it." Robyn recalled being told to conform. Robyn also recalled how rigid the family's rules were when she arrived. "I was told I didn't have a say. I was informed that I needed to adapt to what they were doing. And I was trying really hard not to, rock the boat too," she explained, noting she chose not to name who made those demands. In the high deserts of the American West, a man previously led his family beneath the radar, believing it was the only way to protect what meant most to him, his way of life. To millions of interested spectators, he became the face of a controversial family structure, a man with unshakable belief in his decisions. Despite the rising tension between private religion and public scrutiny, he built a residence that didn't fit inside standard limitations. His spiritual path was one of tremendous commitment, not just to his faith, but to a life with various companions, children, and obligations that expanded with time. His lifestyle was both lauded and reviled, and as cameras began to follow the nuances of his household, it rapidly became evident that this was no average family. He called it love, others deemed it illegal, but through the prism of reality television, this unorthodox situation was tamed. Each week, millions watched the challenges of marriage, motherhood, and belief unfold on screen, accompanied by tearful confessions and vows of unity. Still, beneath the curtain, apprehension lurked. Not the ordinary marital pressure or financial worry, but something more profound, more threatening. The impending specter of legal penalties. There was a moment when he feared that handcuffs could be just one knock away. The early days of their television voyage were not without risk. Long before the family became a mainstay of evening programming, they were bound by secrecy, carefully choosing what to share and when. The threat of prosecution hung over them like a dark cloud, impacting every decision, every move, and every interview. And then, one night, without warning, they vanished. It wasn't a kidnapping, it wasn't an emergency evacuation, but to those close to the crisis, it felt no less urgent. A stealthy exodus transpired. In the middle of night, possessions were packed hurriedly. Children were hustled into cars. The family traveled across state lines, driven not by wanderlust, but by something far more primal, fear. For the patriarch, it was a choice between remaining steady in one spot and risking separation from his loved ones, or leaving behind familiarity to preserve unity. He chose movement over confrontation, distance over prospective prosecution. In the days that followed, murmurs spread, both inside legal circles and online groups. Had the authorities issued a warrant? Was a case being made against him and his partners? Would they soon become a cautionary tale? The response, as it turns out, was far less spectacular than rumor predicted. Though their departure appeared urgent and their story convincing, law enforcement never formally launched a criminal investigation against the guy at the core of the poly marriage. The fear was real, the peril felt tangible, but legally speaking, no official action had been done. Still, disinformation has a way of developing legs. Years later, bogus rumors began circulating on social media, saying that the father of this large blended household had been jailed. Fabricated mugshots were shared. Posts said he was behind bars, suffering punishment for his family arrangement. Some users commented with indignation, others with glee. Few paused to verify the truth. The truth, however, was this. He had never been detained. No courthouse appearance, no criminal charges, no courtroom confession, just supposition based on a fragile foundation of past terror combined with the public's desire for scandal. And while it's easy to dismiss these charges as harmless chatter, the emotional toll on the family tells a different narrative. For them, the past wasn't just about what might have happened, it was about how close they felt to losing everything. The patriarch's partners, each with her own sense of faith and family, spoke freely about their collective fear. One recounted the sense of dread that followed them through daily life, explaining how the sheer act of walking to the grocery store could provoke paranoia. Would someone recognize them? Would the wrong word to the wrong person prompt state intervention? One companion, often seen defending her husband's choices, offered a particularly disturbing memory. We weren't criminals. We were only trying to be together, to live how we believed, but every day felt like we were doing something forbidden. Their worry was not unwarranted. Though legal terminology in that particular location had evolved over time, the stigma surrounding plural families remained ingrained. Being upfront about their ideas invited mockery and judgment, if not formal prosecution. The paradox was striking. On one side, they were encouraged to be transparent, especially as public personalities. On the other, that same transparency encouraged danger. It was a fine line to walk, and it frazzled the nerves of everyone concerned. Lawmakers eventually clarified their stance. They emphasized that peaceful polygamous households not participating in abuse or coercion would not be actively targeted. But this promise came too late for the patriarch and his brood. By then, they had already relocated their lives in a frantic bid to escape becoming martyrs for their cause. The emotional scars of that period persist despite their decision to remain public and continue recording. The initial trauma of those early years affected the way they regarded trust, community, and even each other. What was previously a private matter between consenting individuals became a public discussion, and with each headline and misleading report, the penalty of visibility grew steeper. As the years passed, the man who once ran in the night began to face an entirely different set of obstacles. Within the walls of his own homes, cracks began to emerge, emotional disconnects widened, relationships previously built on commitment began to disintegrate under the weight of disappointment and favoritism. Partners diverged, some left, but despite all this, the myth of criminal punishment followed him like a shadow. Each time a disagreement went viral, each time an episode exposed displeasure, the rumor mill restarted. He's finally going to get caught, some would claim. Justice is coming. But justice for what? Living according to a belief system that, while contentious, had never entailed abuse, exploitation, or criminal coercion. It's a dangerous thing, this mix of entertainment and legal error. Reality television blurs lines. It tempts viewers to see themselves as jurors, ready to give down verdicts based not on fact, but feeling. Still, the man at the center of it all, often condemned, occasionally defended, remains unarrested, uncharged, and legally untouched. Whatever else can be said about him, he has not been proven guilty of a crime. But that doesn't imply he's exempt from consequence. The courtroom may have no claim against him, but the court of public opinion is less forgiving. Every action he makes, every word, every silence is scrutinized, argued, and preserved in the memory of a viewership that once rooted for him and now expects accountability. Some still think that his earlier anxieties were overstated. Others think the opposite, that he and his associates were right to be terrified, even if prosecution never arrived. What cannot be argued, however, is the emotional truth they lived with, the very real potential that their family might be torn apart, not by internal fighting, but by external enforcement. In that sense, their migration from one state to another wasn't cowardice, it was self-preservation. Now, as he enters a new chapter, older perhaps, more weathered, the man who once ran from shadows is being forced to confront a different type of reckoning, not from government officials, but from the people closest to him. The women who previously stood with him are no longer silent. They talk with clarity, with agony, with years of repressed truth finally freed. And the watchers, once enthralled by the novelty of plural marriage, now watch with different eyes. They're no longer enchanted by the idea of multiple houses or shared parenting. They're exploring harder questions. What happens when love is unjustly divided? What does commitment mean when trust has been lost? Can a man who feared handcuffs confront the emotional consequences of his choices? The solution isn't available in police records. Court filings, it's evident in the strained looks of former lovers and the grief of children caught between two worlds, and in the shifting tone of a once devoted audience now dealing with betrayal. So while no warrant was ever issued and no jail cell ever claimed him, the legacy of terror persists, not in the form of legal retribution, but in the erosion of cohesiveness, the fracture of identity, and the slow unraveling of a story once repeated with pride. He sat across from the interviewer, eyes clouded by memories. Despite the tranquil atmosphere, his expressions betrayed an echo of turmoil. This man, once the patriarch of a complicated, spiritually motivated household, had learned a harsh lesson. Simple demonstrations of love might provoke ferocious anger. For years, the family navigated their version of love, guided by unwritten agreements, silent boundaries, and a shared sense that their particular journey transcended convention. Among these implicit norms was a sensitive understanding. Affection among couples was to remain private, especially in front of the others. It wasn't just a guideline, it was a pact. Until the night everything changed. He remembers the day vividly. He and his selected companion had been affectionate in front of another member of their communal household. It was meant to be a moment of kindness, a reinforcement of their bond. Instead, it sparked an emotional whirlwind. The implications were swift and severe. The pair had been instructed to vacate the common quarters immediately. "It cost me more than you'd think," he added quietly, the weight of his words hanging in the air. When the interviewer sought for details, seeking for context or explanation, he quickly guarded his feelings, retreating with a statement both polite and protective. The truth of that event was something he would not unpack in conversation. That moment represented a turning point. It wasn't just about public displays. It was a revelation of weakness, a covert struggle against unwritten structures. In that embrace, they had shattered more than silence. They'd unraveled expectations. Part 2. Love, War, and Boundaries. Following that episode, affection became carefully orchestrated. He spoke of it almost poetically, as if love and peril were bound together. "True love can be terrifying," he explained. "It shines a light on everything else." Complementing his views, his companion added a deeper thought. Their senses of affection had always been out of sync. Where he saw a nice gesture, she perceived something deeper, an emotional connection she believed was missing. In quieter moments, kisses that came as rewards or demonstrations of unity held profoundly diverse meanings between them. Yet even within their mutual understanding, she felt limited by unsaid restrictions. Upon entering the family fold, she had been urged to match their expectations, to blend in without breaking the serenity. That silencing left her with shame and terror, guilt for daring to love clearly, fear of being judged as guilty of transgression for expressing that love at all. It's a conundrum that few outsiders see. Love, supposed to convey warmth, became a battleground where affection was judged not by motive, but by the comfort or threat it brought to others. Part 3. Behind the scenes, where rules became rebukes. One of the former partners, who had faced the family's power structure with respect, shared her own observations. In conversation, she stressed that loving was never painful only by nature. It was hurtful by comparison. She didn't demand the stage. Even a hand squeeze was enough to break the equilibrium in the shared household. "What bothered me wasn't that they loved each other," she added. "It was how that love excluded me. Don't hold it up as a performance in front of me. Don't put it in my face." She rued the imbalance. Tiny gestures, once private, now looked like planned provocations. What had been reciprocal affection became a source of pain. The narrow line between familiarity and harshness had been crossed, and the family's meticulous facade showed fractures. Part 4. Navigating Public and Private Love. Their public appearances were diplomatic dances. He would kiss her on the cheek, brief enough not to offend, She would hold hands surreptitiously. Words of affection were murmured or withheld. They traveled knowing the cameras would film, knowing their audience would scrutinize, and chose activities that would cause little rupture. He spoke softly of this behavior as a protective pact. We learned where we were safe to show warmth and where we needed to hold back. These small acts of self-censorship were both survival skills and reminders. Love couldn't be free in every space, especially in a family still unraveling beneath silent expectations. Part 5. The emotional fallout. Over time, the emotional toll became evident. They both acknowledged it without needing to name it. Love postponed in one place can spawn anger in another. Their shared past, once a source of hope for collective spiritual living, had given place to split hearts and private frustrations. Their story had become larger than their love. It had become a lens through which viewers and participants alike explored control, partiality, privilege, and treachery. They had joined the arrangement assuming it would elevate them. What they unearthed were chains. Some self-imposed, others created by expectations they never realized they were under. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Get more updates daily. See you soon.